and the omnibus. So I was forced into the Archers when I was a child. And look, it's come back to bite me later on.
I'm awash with the stuff.
The Archers is the world's longest-running radio show, with more than 15,000 episodes broadcast. Despite being a rural flavour show, The Archers is recorded in the heart of...
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're plunging into some really rich audio. It gives this fascinating look into the daily lives, the concerns, within a pretty tight-knit community.
Yeah, it really does. And our mission, I think, for this deep dive is to kind of dig into that, to unearth how these small local conflicts actually mirror much bigger societal tensions.
Right.
We'll see, ambitious environmental ideas clashing with hard economic facts, and also how very personal worries, anxieties about family, about self-worth, how they're handled through, just quiet support, really.
Extracting those insightful nuggets, like you said.
Exactly, showing those universal themes playing out in this very specific place.
I love that framing, unearthing.
Yeah.
So as we dive in, expect some maybe unexpected turns and some real human moments when that ambition meets reality, and how people find strength, in connecting with each other.
Mm-hmm. It's those conversations all woven together that really show you the layers, the decision-making, personal growth, and that quiet resilience you find in community.
Okay, so where should we start? Let's jump into this major conflict. The battle for the BL estate. Rewilding versus reality.
Okay.
And right at the center, you got Justin Elliott. He's got this incredibly passionate proposal to rewild the BL estate. He genuinely seems to believe it's, the right thing to do.
Yeah, he talks about long-term food security, thinking well ahead. It's a big picture view.
It really is. So based on what we heard, what's the core of this vision? And, how does he plan to pay for something this ambitious?
Well, the vision's definitely grand. He outlines two main income streams. One is selling carbon capture to large businesses, which is, interesting in itself.
Right.
And then the other is ecotourism. And honestly, that ecotourism part, it really jumped out at me. What did you think?
Ecotourism in Ambridge. Yeah, you're right. That's the bit that grabs you, isn't it?
Yeah.
He paints this picture of eco lodges built on rewounded land that are incredibly beautiful, and people are paying the earth to stay there. He genuinely sees potential for the whole British wildlife experience.
Right there, yeah.
He even asks, almost seriously, why go to the Serengeti when you could come to Ambridge instead?
He did say that, though he quickly adds, you don't need lions or zebras, right, to encourage increased biodiversity.
No, definitely not short on confidence there.
Not at all. And his environmental points are clear. Soil protection, biodiversity. He really believes acting now is crucial. Like you said, it's the right thing to do. It feels almost like a moral imperative for him.
But there's Stella, standing right in his way with some, pretty stark opposition. She has really strong concerns, a lot of initial resistance. What's driving that strong reaction from her?
Well, her main worry, and you can totally see why, is the direct financial threat to Home Farm. She thinks they could lose their contract, lose a huge amount of its income. And her counter-argument boils down to priorities, doesn't it? We need food a hell of a lot more than we need ecotourism.
Very practical. You can really hear the stress in her voice, too.
Oh, yeah. She sounds stressed and under pressure, and she feels Justin is just trying to rush this through in classic Justin Elliott style.
Right. She even calls the idea insane.
She does. It's like a perfect little snapshot of that global tension, isn't it? Visionary green ideas versus the immediate, sometimes brutal economic facts people face.
So Justin sort of tries to dismiss her concerns. Says it's just bias because she's read the ecology report.
But she pushes back, says the truth in this instance is pretty subjective. Which is a fair point, I think.
Definitely. It's more than just business. It's like a clash of worldviews, fundamental priorities.
But what's really interesting is how it sort of evolves. Justin initially wants to just announce his decision. Boom, done. Very classic Justin Elliott. But Stella insists she needs to talk to Brian Aldridge, her boss, and she's clearly frustrated about having to postpone a picnic again.
For the second time, yeah.
And that seems to make him pause. It's almost like the human inconvenience of it all actually gets through to him a bit.
That's a great observation. He does acknowledge he sprung this on you.
Yeah.
And he admits he thought Stella would be on board because she's always been so progressive and, had pushed Brian Aldridge kicking and screaming into the 21st century.
He clearly misjudged where her head was at in that moment.
And Stella, she defends Brian too. says he's not stupid, that he cares about the environment, despite, well, the past incident.
The whole poison the yam thing, yeah. It's a good reminder, isn't it? People can make mistakes, but still genuinely care about these issues.
Absolutely. And all this leads to this sort of unexpected compromise. They agree on next steps. Justin will hold off saying anything at the meeting, crucially.
Right. Big concession for him.
And they'll dedicate some time next week with Stella, maybe Kirsty and Rex too, to really get into the detail.
It's a shift towards collaboration, which for someone like Justin feels significant. It shows that even really entrenched positions can find some common ground if people are willing to step back and actually talk properly.
Yeah, it really underlines how pausing, allowing for that detailed, collaborative chat can diffuse things and maybe lead somewhere better, even when they start miles apart.
Definitely. A good lesson there.
So that compromise is fascinating. But speaking of Justin, let's shift gears a bit. Look at a different side of his life, much more personal. His family relationships, this sort of new chapter.
Okay.
We see his newfound happiness with Miranda. It seems to have become something substantial or significant for him.
And his daughter Alice seems really supportive, doesn't she?
She really does. She says she likes Miranda. And crucially, if Miranda makes her dad happy, then I like her a whole lot more.
That says a lot about their bond, Alice and Justin's.
It does. And Alice's reflection on her mother, Jenny, being gone, it's incredibly poignant. She calls it odd at first, but now with this real maturity, she says, it's okay. Mainly, it's doable.
Wow. That shows such quiet strength, doesn't it? Processing grief, moving forward.
Absolutely. It's a powerful statement of resilience. Acknowledging the difficulty, but saying, I can handle this.
Yeah. And then there's that Father's Day gift she gives him. That quite tatty signed Dick Francis book from a charity shop.
Oh, yeah. And he finds it perfect.
It just speaks volumes about how well she knows him. That simple, deep connection they share.
Totally. But underneath that strength Alice shows, she's dealing with some really deep anxieties. About her daughter, Martha.
Ah, yes, the nursery concern.
Exactly. The nursery expressed concern about her development, said Martha has trouble settling down to a task, is maybe a bit behind her peers in a few different ways. That must be incredibly hard to hear as a parent.
Oh, absolutely. And it taps right into Alice's deepest fear, doesn't it? That she might have harmed her by drinking.
Yeah, linking straight back to her own past. Going to rehab nearly 4 years ago, running away at the motorway services. She says that terror doesn't go away.
That fear of having hurt your child, even unintentionally, it's such a heavy weight.
It really is. But Justin's response here is just pure fatherly support.
He really steps up, doesn't he?
He reassures her she's a lovely mom, doing her best, and importantly, it's enough. That's powerful.
It really is. And he tells her, even though driving her to rehab was one of the worst days of my life, he'd do it all again.
Just unconditional love shining through.
Yeah. And then that moment where Justin says Alice reminds him of her mom, Jenny, he says it's like you're channeling her.
Oh, that's lovely.
And they share that feeling of missing her. It's such a powerful moment of connection across generations. Shows how even through grief and past struggles, those family bonds can really strengthen and last.
That shared moment between them is so touching. And it actually leads us nicely into our final thread today. Another really vital relationship. The friendship between Pip and Stella.
Ah, yes. The anchors in the crisis.
Exactly. And how it helps them through their own personal crises. They finally have that picnic, remember?
Yes, with a decent picnic and no half-open pots of him after being postponed so many times.
It feels symbolic, doesn't it? Finding that moment of calm after all the storms.
It really does. And Pip shares her own stress, the school thing with Rosie, where a teacher apparently totally overreacted because Rosie said some word she didn't even understand.
And Pip doesn't trust this girl's mother, worries the school is taking sides. It's that classic parent stress navigating school drama.
So relatable for many parents, I imagine. And Pip even reflects on her own part, regretting she suggested Rosie might not have been completely innocent earlier.
Which shows growth, right? Happily, it seems resolved. The girl's made up, the other kid is fine, and Rosie seems fine too.
Though Pip still has no idea where Rosie heard the word, the little mystery remains.
Ah, yes. But the key thing here is that reciprocal support, isn't it?
Absolutely. Stella's willing to put her own huge crisis with Justin aside to just be there for Pip.
Yeah. And Pip wants to hear about Stella's news, but she respects Stella's choice not to talk about Justin anymore right then, to just prioritize their time together.
It shows what real support looks like sometimes. Knowing when to listen, sure, but also knowing when to just be present. Putting the other person's need for a break first.
So, wrapping this all up, what does this deep dive mean for you listening in? We've explored these conversations revealing, the everyday friction between big visions and economic reality.
And the complexities, the tender parts of new beginnings, and also the weight of personal history that never quite leaves us.
What's really striking, I think, is how these individuals handle their challenges. They often find comfort and clarity, not just by talking things through, even the tough stuff.
Right, but also by actively making space for that mutual support. Leaning on each other when things feel overwhelming. It shows that connection isn't just nice to have, it's often essential for getting through life's complexities.
Which brings us to a final thought for you to consider. In your own life, how might actively seeking out that open dialogue, even when it feels uncomfortable, and really prioritizing mutual support with the people around you, how might that redefine what feels possible when you're facing down overwhelming information or really difficult decisions?
So, what are you doing now?
Just getting ready for the next episode. Just moving mics around again.
So, what do you do?
I do the spot effects on the archers.
Are you what we call Foley then?
Kind of. Yep.
Okay. And these are all part of the paraphernalia production.
Yep. That's the ball bar.
This one.
Babies so wanted to be in their own place when they baby came. It's due in 2 months. Not much chance of that now. I mean, it would have been a stretch for him actually, mind, but I just wish there was something practical I could do to help him, Carlo.
I think The Archers has had this immense popularity over the years, basically because it has always very accurately reflected the reality of life and living in a rural community at whatever